Before we get started with this tutorial, I do need to put in some disclaimers. First and foremost, if you're someone who is absolutely brand new to the 3D VTubing world, I heavily recommend please stay with VCFace before switching over to Warudo. VCFace is a beginner-friendly VTuber program, and I heavily recommend for those who prefer simplicity over complexity, as well as someone who, if anyone gets easily intimidated by complex stuff, then VCFace is your best friend, and I heavily recommend stay with VCFace. Otherwise though, if you really do want to use Warudo, in the description below, I have two versions of the Warudo Beginner Scene file, one of them being ARKit and the other one being non-ARKit. If you have no idea what ARKit blend shapes are in the first place, please use the non-ARKit version of the Beginner Scene file and let me know if anything breaks or anything, because it is a little more experimental than the other. And if you're someone that knows that you do have ARKit blend shapes, whether you're a void mod with HANA tool or you have your blend shapes custom made by someone else or something like that, then use the ARKit version of the Beginner Scene file. This Beginner Scene file also assumes that you're going to be using just camera-based tracking. If by any chance you're going to use full body tracking whatsoever, then make sure that you do delete all of the blueprints and then remake all of the mocap blueprints and assets with the onboarding assistant, which I've added to the beginner scene if you are a more advanced user. Or you could just use the VMC setups that I have in the beginner scene file. Let me know if you have any other questions though, or if there's something that breaks in the Warudo scene file. I do recommend, if you're someone who asks a lot of questions regarding Warudo a lot, then I heavily recommend please join the Warudo Discord server, as there's people there who is willing to help out others regarding Warudo. So if you're someone who tends to ask a lot of questions about Warudo and you're easily confused about it, join the Discord server. We'd be happy to help you out, and the dev is there as well if you need further assistance. With that being said though, good luck. In this following tutorial, I'm going to be showing you on how to set up the Warudo Beginner Scene file. That way you can be able to VTube with Warudo as soon as possible. But at the same time, do note there will be some things that you may have to change up with the file. And of course, because of the nature of Warudo, you may experience some complexities with the program. But hopefully this file will help you out on having a little bit more of, an easier way on using Warudo. Now, I do recommend, by the way, that on the Warudo Handbook, which is in the description, if you're very brand new to VTubing and you don't know what ARKit is, what shaders are, what blend shapes are, I recommend please check out the description as it explains more in-depth stuff. Also, if you want a written version of what is contained in the scene file, there are written documentation here that further explains how you do certain stuff, which the scene file pretty much already has, but it's there. Anyways, what you're going to do is you're going to make sure to download Warudo. Warudo is completely for free. You can download via Steam, link in the description below. I'm going to go ahead and open up Warudo right now, and I'm going to let it process for a couple of minutes. It should also take a couple seconds depending on the PC, of course. Once you have Warudo open, what you're going to do before we get started with the scene file itself, you're going to go into the Discover tab. Then what you're going to do is you're going to look up the term floor on the search bar and make sure that you have this floor collider downloaded by clicking on the subscribe button. If you don't have this subscribed, then one of the redeems in the scene file will break and not function properly. So make sure you have this subscribed. Also, for any future stuff that you may want, it's definitely a must-have. Now, if you're very brand new to VTubing, of course, feel free to check out the characters category right here if you need a model on hand. But otherwise, if you already have a model, you're already good to go. And also, if you're someone who really wants to use VTube Studio as their face tracking, which the beginner scene file also has, here under VTube Studio, when you type in the search bar, you can download this plugin for VTube Studio as your face tracking, especially if you want to do 3D, 2D at the same time. Otherwise, if you don't need it, just ignore it. But you do need the floor collider though. Now, once we have that set up, what we're going to then do is we're going to go and click on the menu button. Then click on Open Data Folder. Do note that when you are in this folder here, or these, all these folders, this is where you're going to put most of your assets if you download something or anything. But for the most part, you will download most of your stuff from the Discover tab, unless you commission somebody. But we're going to go into Scenes, then you're going to go ahead and you're going to find the Warudo Beginner Scene file, which is just this single file. You're going to do Control-C, then you're going to do Control-V in the Scenes folder here. And once you have that, you can exit out of File Explorer, go into the paw again, open scene. You should be able to see a Warudo Beginner Scene file pop up with no preview at all. Make sure to click on OK and give it up to no more than 30 seconds to load. Once you have the scene file set up, you should see that all of the assets are already pre-set up for you, as well as many blueprints. Now this is going to take some time to explain, but I'll do my best. But either way, first things first, you're going to load up your character. So go into the character assets here. You're going to then scroll down until you see the source right here. You're going to open characters folder, and here in this folder, you're going to put in your VRM file. Do note that VSF Avatar does not work in Warudo at all, so do keep that in mind. You can't use your VSF Avatar. If you want to do your VSF Avatar technically in Warudo, you need to convert your VRM file and all the VSF Avatar related stuff into what is compatible with a Warudo avatar. I have in the description below a playlist for Warudo tutorials if you need more information of what a Warudo avatar is, but VSF Avatar doesn't work. Anyways, so put your model here, especially VRM. Once you're done, have the source, and then load the model of your choice, and from there, your model should appear shortly. And as you can see, there is Test-chan. So what we're going to do, you can also have the Warudo media pipe tracker, put it in the corner for the time being. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into expressions. By default, you should have 5 expressions already preset for you, and you're going to open up each and every one of them. And then what you're going to do is you're going to scroll down to target blend shapes. Now, if you're a void model, this should already automatically work for you, but for in the case of this version of the model, I need to manually register the blend shapes. So target blend shapes, you'll have this. You will have to manually register it accordingly. Now, if you want to have it even more simple, especially if you have multiple expressions, you can import VRM expressions, and hopefully that will help you out. But otherwise though, this should already be set up for you. All you simply have to do is just re-register the mesh here, and you should be good to go. So give me some time to register all this. Once you have your expressions already registered properly, you can definitely check out the other settings if you prefer, especially if you have very specific needs for how you want things to be done, like how the breathing or the swaying animation, or maybe changing up the idle animations and other settings like that. But for now, we're going to leave it as default since we want to go through this as soon as possible. Now, lighting is definitely really nice if you want to change the lighting, but by default you should be pretty much good. You can remove these lightings if you want, or you can enable them if you want to do some experimenting on what they do. But otherwise, you can delete them if you don't need it. As for mocap, you have to choose which mocap you want to use for this case. Now, if you are a webcam user, I heavily recommend just sticking with MediaPipe, since MediaPipe can both do face and hand tracking, and I've already set up the settings, so it should work for you. Now, if you want a webcam in this case, you'll have to make sure to delete iFacial Mocap, Leap Motion, Real Live. If you happen to install the VTube Studio plugin, this should appear. If not, it should not appear at all. But the OpenC Face Tracker here, make sure this is deleted too. Now, besides that, you'll also have to keep in mind about the blueprints as well. But before we delete any blueprints, we're going to focus on the assets panel first and then blueprints later. But for this case, let's say I want to use iFacial Mocap for this case. But of course, if you want to use MediaPipe, you may, especially if you want to mix and all that stuff. Again, you can go through the settings however you want. But for my case, I'm going to do iFacial Mocap, but your settings may be different. So I'm going to delete MediaPipe, then I'm going to delete Real Live, because I also have a leap motion that I want to have, so I will keep my leap motion intact. Then VTube Studio here, and then OpenC Face. Keep it simple like that. Now, of course, you can go through the settings of each of the tracking if you have some specific needs. You can also quickly calibrate by scrolling, depending on your face tracking. You can quickly calibrate to get your character nice and normal, or change the cameras, of course, by right-clicking and rotating, and then press the middle mouse button to move the camera around or pan it. So that's how you can quickly navigate the camera real quickly. But what you're going to do now, now that we have this calibrated and you have the motion capture of your choice already set up for you, what you're going to then do, we're going to go through the list quickly. So keyboard, if you don't want keyboard, you can easily remove this, but you can also enable here if you so desire. Do keep in mind that when you do enable it, do note for keyboard, before anything, these blueprints, the keyboard relies on a pose blueprint. So if, let's say, you're a MediaPipe user and you use the MediaPipe webcam hand tracking, you do need to make sure to have the pose tracking node still here. But if you're someone who doesn't want to use webcam hand tracking or even the leap motion at all, but yet you still want to use the keyboard functions, you cannot delete, let's say, the leap motion node, for instance. Even though you don't use leap motion, you still need to keep this node and make sure that it is set to enable. That way you can have the keyboard functioning. Because if I were to not have the leap motion, let's say for instance the leap motion node on, I'm not using hand tracking at all, and I enable these two, as you can see, the tracking is not working. But when I do enable leap motion, the character will freak out for a little bit, but when I start typing, it should work. So if you don't use hand tracking, just keep the leap motion pose blueprint here. Just want to at least let you know that. But we're gonna go ahead and disable that real quickly, and we're gonna keep on going through these cameras. Basically there is 8 different ones for different angles. You can click on the camera icon to toggle through the cameras real quickly. Do keep in mind there's many effects you can mess with. You will have to manually copy it per camera if you're going to use multiple cameras. You can also change the angle of the cameras if you want just one camera. Just entirely up to you. But we're gonna skim through this, but you can mess with the settings if you so desire for other effects. Environment is definitely really nice if you want to have a room or anything like that. You can use the pre-existing environments that exist here or download from the Discover tab if you want some different variety. The most popular room that I've seen is the VR room, which is because it is an actual bedroom, so you can definitely utilize this room as your main, or if you want a different sort of bedroom look, you can use the Edge room, which is also another bedroom environment that is really nice, so you could check that out. Now, I'm going to leave this as none, but over here on the wind. Now, by default, it's set to yes. If you don't want it, you could set it to no, or simply just delete the asset for the wind. VMC is mainly for advanced users if you want to do VR mocap to Warudo or even VTS POG related stuff. If you don't need the VMC stuff, you can simply just delete it or ignore it. The tail is really nice if you are someone who has a tail, wings, little cat ears or something like that. Anything that requires like an idle animation for anything that is non-humanoid. So you could definitely use the tail to do that. Otherwise, if you don't have a tail or any extra stuff, you could simply just delete it and continue on. The music player is really nice if you want to do some karaoke related stuff, but of course if you don't do that, you can simply just remove it. It is early beta, so there may be some hiccups with it. Motion player is really nice if you're someone who wants to record or play motions. So if you want to take Warudo animations or the Warudo tracking and port it to Blender or Maya or Unity or even or if there is a specific animation you want to play over and over as a hotkey or something, then by all means you can use the motion recorder to record your animations, or even motion player. Make sure you do set up your character and the motion source for player, or just character here, and setting up the export format you want. But these are more for advanced users. If you don't want it, just simply remove it and carry on. The screen in PNG, here this shows you an example of how you can utilize the screen here with Warudo, and as you can see, you can have the screen, which is really nice if you want to show people your display or even show a game as well by selecting the window and choosing the game of your choice here. But otherwise though, if you don't want a screen, you can simply just ignore or delete it. Now if you're someone that wants to do PNG props, this also utilizes a screen asset, which I will say if you want to add assets, you can simply add it with the plus button right here, and you can add a screen, which is also the equivalent to a PNG prop basically. So here, you can have it, so as an example here, it shows image, shows that if I were to enable this, it shows a bow on the head. This can also be for GIF or GIF or just anything really, any PNG that you want, even GIF or GIF files. But otherwise though, if you don't want this, you can simply just remove it if you want, like so. But if you do want it, you can simply, you can of course duplicate by clicking on this button right here that says duplicate asset if you want to duplicate for more stuff. So yeah. So here's microphone. This shows you example props that you can do with Warudo. So for instance, you can have a microphone loaded on your hand if you want that. There's also even a rose prop if you want to be cute. Then of course there's a collider floor, which I don't recommend touching as it's already set up for certain redeems. There's also prop inactive here, which are basically just empty slots. So if you want to add a prop, you can. Otherwise though, you can delete it. But if you want more, you can simply just duplicate asset and add more props to your scene. Eye keys and anchors, this is really useful in order to ensure that the feet tracking stays intact. You can delete this if you're someone who uses full body tracking or a lot of dancing animations and such. So do keep that in mind. But otherwise though, for the most part, if you really want to have the most natural feet position for your tracking, then I recommend please leave these alone. You can also delete this little extra thing if you prefer. That's just for funsies, the little credit thing. Anyways, now that we went through the assets, we're going to go through the blueprints. Now over here, depending on what you want for your motion capture, make sure to delete whichever blueprints you don't need. So for instance, because I'm using iFacial Mocap and the Leap Motion, I'm going to simply delete Real Live here, OpenCFace, VTube Studio, and then the other Real Live blueprint here. Now, of course, as I mentioned before, if you want to use the keyboard asset, please make sure, even though you're not using hand tracking at all, at least keep the Leap Motion blueprint here, so that way you can be able to utilize your keyboard stuff. Otherwise, if you're a webcam user, you can keep the webcam blueprints, or if you're not using it, you can delete it. If you want to keep both iPhone and webcam, you can leave the blueprints as is, and if you ever, by emergency, need to swap, you can always add an asset, motion capture, and then reconnect via blueprint if you need. But otherwise, just delete what you don't need, and you should be a-okay. Now, I'm going to quickly go over some things regarding smoothness and audio lip sync, as those are the most commonly asked questions for Warudo users. Now, because of how Warudo is, you cannot do smoothness or audio lip sync by going to the assets panel and then going here. You have to change those settings within the blueprint itself. So whether your webcam, Real Live, OpenCFace, or iFacial Mocap, you need to look for smoothness, you need to look for any nodes that look like this: the smooth blend shape list and the smooth rotation list, even the smooth position list, which is the smooth position right here. So those are your smoothness settings right there. So if you need more smoothness, you can of course increase the value with these nodes to add more smoothness. Otherwise, change it accordingly. Same with your blend shapes. If your blend shape feel too jittery, you can smooth it and have more slowness, but to each your own. And in order to add audio lip sync, all you need to do for both webcam and iPhone solution, depending on the blueprint you have left, you're going to look for the generate lip sync animation node here, which I should set up for all face tracking. All you simply have to do is click on restart microphone, and you can be able to have audio lip sync enabled for you. You can also calibrate if you need more customization and adjust the settings according to what you want. But otherwise though, that is how you can be able to enable audio lip sync. You can even also decrease the value as well if it's too much to your liking. So the weight value is really nice to adjust. Otherwise, that's how you can enable audio lip sync as well as having some smoothness for your for your face tracking. Once you have that, the expression keys here shows you how you can set up expression toggles. Now, on keystroke is referring to the keyboard, but on Stream Deck is referring to those who are Stream Deck users. If you're a Stream Deck user, please refer to the tutorials in the description below, which I do have a playlist of Warudo tutorials you can check out if you need some more information on how to set up for Stream Deck and even the alternative method for, for fixing the Stream Deck and such. But if you are someone who don't use a Stream Deck, you can simply use the keyboard, or if you really want to have a Stream Deck alternative, please look into, I think it was Touch Portal, for a free alternative to the Stream Deck. Anyways, this here should allow you to toggle, you can look through, shows you how to toggle your face expressions. The redeems here are already pretty much done for you. These are actually made by going to the assets, onboarding assistant, and doing the interaction setup. If you want, let's say for instance, you don't like the blueprints preset here, which you'll have to actually look through the nodes to know what the heck they do. So you have to do some reading. So this one says follow. This one has a sticker, so we can assume that when someone follows, it will spawn a sticker, and so on. So you'll have to look through these nodes to understand what they mean. But of course, if it's a little too overwhelming for you of how these interactions, you can simply just delete. This blueprint, then go to assets, then interaction setup here, get started, and just go through this process so you can actually customize your redeems a little bit more easily if you so prefer. That's only if the current ones here are too overwhelming for you. The onboarding assistant should hopefully help you out. Also, onboarding assistant should hopefully help you out if you have very specific needs for your motion capture. But otherwise, you should be good to go. Anyways, that's mainly it for at least the default redeems there. You'll have to do some digging through this, but it should be there at your disposal. And even if you don't use the channel point redeems, they should at least have something randomly appearing when somebody subscribes, follows, and all that other stuff. When it comes to the redeems though, in order to make them actually work with Warudo, you need to make sure that you are logged in. So in order to be able to log in with your Twitch or your YouTube or even Bilibili, you have to go to the menu here, then settings, and then over here where it says Bilibili, Twitch, and YouTube, this is where you can be able to do your login stuff. So for Twitch, you can easily log in here, very simple. For Bilibili, you have to input the room ID for your stream, so that way it works. For YouTube, you'll have to put in your link. However, do note for a fact that you're gonna have this window pop up. You sadly cannot remove this window, so do keep in mind, you may not want to have this on all the time. So whenever you're not streaming, have it set to no, but whenever you are streaming with YouTube, make sure to have it as yes. For more advanced users, you can actually use StreamerBot if you want this gone, but otherwise though, you'll have to log in here. So anyways, VMC here, this is again for advanced users. If this is too overwhelming for you, you don't have to touch it. But for advanced users who use VR mocap or even full body tracking solutions that may not be supported in Warudo, then feel free, for those people who do want VMC, you could use these at your disposal to hopefully help you out. These are character related only though. For non-humanoid VMC that, like VTS Pog, that gets into more advanced territory. We're not gonna really go over that, but it's there if you need it. Now, Live2D-Like Movement. If you are someone who don't like the Live2D-Like Movement and prefer something more realistic, I recommend please removing all the Live2D-Like from this one all the way down to toggle arm sway. Make sure to delete those if you really don't want the Live2D related stuff and want something more realistic, especially if you use full body mocap or you really use webcam hand tracking leap motion quite heavily. But either way, it's there if you really want that Live2D feel to your model. There is a left arm and right arm. So for both left arm and right arm, you can adjust the posing. This can get a little bit into some complex territory that may overwhelm you a little bit, but trust me, it could be worse. But here you can change the posing here. So I can change the shoulder rotation with each of these sliders. They should have it so they tell you what bone name it is and then the angle, so you'll have to mess with the values until it looks right. Again, you could just look at your model, click and drag these if you want. If, let's say, the arms are too bouncy for you, you want something less subtle, all you have to do is go to the float pendulum physics here and tone down the intensity, and you should be good to go. But otherwise, these already are bouncy by default, but you can always tone it down. But mainly just focus on this here, these nodes here, and then just that float one here. The other ones I don't recommend touching unless you know what you're doing, or if you learn about nodes, or you really want to be experimental. Anyways, the Live2D wiggle eyes, this is for if you have your model rigged with, the jiggle eye blend shapes. If you don't know what those are, again, check out the Warudo documentation, it explains it. But of course, if you need reference on how to make those blend shapes, feel free to download Test Chan via Booth, so that way you can actually study, and Test Kun as well if you prefer, to study how to make the jiggle eyes. As you can see, Test Chan has that, so you can study the model. It is a free model, so you can study. Now, upper body rotation, if you don't want this, you can disable it, but do note you're going to have to go to assets and then change up your settings to adjust accordingly. So, under blueprints here, upper body rotation, the thing about this is that it allows you to have like that hip rotation here. So if you want to have like a bit of that hip rotation going on with your model, I would recommend having the upper body rotation on. You can even, of course, change the values here to some random numbers if you so prefer. So, you can have some weird weird effects if you like with your movement, but otherwise adjust how you like. But this is how I actually do my hip rotation for my model, so it's pretty much just there. Just adjust mainly just these three nodes here. The others you don't have to mess with, but these three nodes you just mess with these if you want. But if this feels too overcomplicated for you, simply delete this, and then you could just scroll down to wherever you can find like anything body rotation related settings on your tracking, and just adjust from there. Now, these two blueprints are a little bit problematic. This is the reason why I recommend don't have both webcam and iPhone tracking on the scene file, if you're gonna, depending on your setup, because if you're going to use the Live2D like arms way, these two can be a bit problematic. So for my case, because I'm using Leap Motion, I'm going to delete the webcam tracking. But if you are a webcam tracking user, please keep this one on and instead delete the Leap Motion one, so that way you can have less issues. And make sure to enable whichever one you want, so that way whenever, let's say for instance, you have Leap Motion, right? So just to quickly show you the difference between having this tracking node here and without. So let's say the this arm sway tracking node is disabled, and I were to have let's say I have my arm sway and my upper body rotation enabled, right? If I were to have the Leap Motion on, or even webcam tracking, it will do this when you start moving around, and it can make your hands look a little bit weird, as you can see. But when you have the arm sway tracking on, you can be able to have it so when you move around, you have more natural feel to your hands. So keep that in mind. That's what it's for. But I don't recommend having both the webcam and the Leap Motion arm sway tracking on, otherwise you will experience some weird stuff. So I just wanted to quickly show that, but I'm going to turn off my leap motion, and then over here you can toggle the arm sway with the your keyboard or Stream Deck, like so. You can also toggle your keyboard via hotkey if you want. Again, like I said, keep the leap motion, posing, tracking to have the keyboard working. But either way, you should be pretty much good to go to be able to toggle this. So there you are. If you want to use VTS-Pog, there is an example node here. I'm not going to go full in depth about it, but if you eventually want to use VTS-Pog, I recommend keeping this node. I will be making a separate tutorial about this, but just know it's there. But I will actually go ahead and delete this node here, as I don't want to worry about it. Camera toggles, you can have keyboard, or even you can set up a Stream Deck by simply typing Stream Deck over here in the search tab here and setting up Stream Deck stuff, but you can set up camera toggles if you prefer. Now, environment toggles, same thing. You can set up toggles for environments, let's say for classroom, VR room, the ruins, whatever you want. You can set it up here. You can even calibrate your tracking as well. So if by any chance sometimes your mocap looks a little weird and such and you need to recalibrate, then by all means just simply set up the hotkey that you want, and then pretty much all you have to do, calibrate, or just press this button and you're done. And it already has this set up, so whether your webcam, iFacial mocap, or whatever, it already has the extra nodes. So if you ever notice these empty nodes here, you don't have to worry about it, it's fine. But if you want to do some cleanup, you can delete if you like. Over here on the functions, I don't recommend messing with this one at all, because this one's a little bit more of an advanced feature that allows the arm sway and the IKs to function properly with the example nodes. So I won't explain this too much, because again, this can go into a little bit of some non-beginner friendly territory, so we're going to ignore that. But if you want, you feel free to just kind of study it, see how I utilize the functions for the redeems. Now, under examples, you can see all the different kinds of redeems that are possible, or just simple hotkeys you can do with Warudo. Again, your imagination is the limit, but these are just examples of what you can do. So slime is really nice if you want to have a slime redeem. Confetti is really nice if you want to have confetti. Explosion is really nice if you want to have explosion. And also note as well, they all have a Twitch and a YouTube one. So just simply look at the string contains. For YouTube, you don't have to really worry. But for Twitch, especially since you're setting up a channel point redeem, you're going to have to make sure that whatever is in this box, if this says on Twitch channel point redeem, and then there's this box called string contains, this is explaining what's the name of the channel point redeem that it'll trigger on. So do keep in mind that when you're trying to copy these redeems to your Twitch channel, look out for these two nodes. It'll let you know that's supposed to be a channel point redeem node, and you just simply copy and paste this name to your Twitch channel. Now, spin redeems is a little bit more complicated, but simply just focus, they're just duplicates, so it can work natively. But here, you got spin, and then you have intense spin. So simply, I'll just quickly show you how they look. So spin is just a slow spinning, and then you have intense spin. You can of course change the settings if you want by simply going to the float addition and just changing the value. Bigger number means faster, smaller number means slower speed. So there's that. Karaoke posing is when you want to have a pose for karaoke. This is just an example of what you can do with posing. Of course, it has an example arm sway. Now, the sway here, of course, it's a little bit, it's pretty much just like the arm sway adjustment nodes here, but it is a little bit less, as it is purely just an example. Of course, you can edit however you want. If you prefer it by default, leave it alone. But otherwise, though, if you want to do more advanced editing, you can reference the nodes and do whatever you like. Now, animation pose toggles. This one, simply just examples of how you can toggle animations. You could just look at how it's set up. So, and you can even change the animation by clicking on Preview Gallery and just going through the hundreds of animations Warudo provides, so that way you can be able to toggle whatever animation you want. You can even add more. So if you want to add more animation toggles, simply just take whatever section, so the keystroke or whichever you want to use. Do control, so hold the control key, left click and drag to the node that you want to copy, control C, and then control V. So you can copy those nodes and then simply just change the animation value that you have here. And that's pretty much how you can add like more toggles to the animations or anything else really if you really desire copying and such. You can even, of course, duplicate blueprints. So if you don't want to break a blueprint on accident, you can simply just duplicate blueprint here. And anyways, we can continue on. So contact system, this is an example on how you can utilize contact. Now, this is a little bit, this is just a quick example. There's more advanced stuff you can utilize, such as a food redeem or anything like that. But when I have my two fingers together, especially with the hand tracking, I could be able to have something like this. See? So if you want, to do some cool stuff like that, you can reference this contact node. Otherwise, if you don't want it, just delete it. Now, the yeet streamer, simply you can just yeet. So if I were to press on this, it will toss my character in the air. You can adjust how far your character is launched or what direction by simply just adjusting the settings on launch force. Otherwise, you could just leave it by default if you so prefer. And again, there's also the example of how you can utilize functions to turn off the arm sway and the IKs depending on the redeem, just to make things easier. But again, that's a little bit more of an advanced feature. Big head is mainly where if you want to, let's say, I'll do this quickly, make your head big for a few seconds, and then later it'll shrink back. You can have that. This is where you can adjust how long you want the redeem to last for, 20 seconds, 5 seconds, however you want. Same thing with chibi and giant streamer. The same information applies. The delay control flow controls how long you want the redeem to last for. So this one imitates like a chibi if you don't have a chibi model. So there's that. Then you have giant streamer here, so that way you can change it. So if this is enabled or triggered, you can have yourself be a giant and then shrink back down. So you can have that. And of course, again, remember that there is a Twitch and a YouTube sort of redeem set up already for you. There's Dance Dance Dance, which this is referenced from the Warudo documentation to show an example of how to do variations. So simply you can just, once the Dance 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 channel point has been redeemed, your character will be dancing. And it'll also show you how you can even disable the IKs and the arm sway so your model looks a little less awkward. But do know some animations may look a little derpish. And I can already see it kind of broke, that's fine. But either way, you can do like a quick little dance example. But of course, if by any chance you want to do a lot of the full, the dancing animations, like you want to do a lot of it, and the IKs are just too tedious for you, simply just delete these IKs over here and just call it a day, so you can do a lot of dance toggles. So just keep that in mind. Now, we have camera effects, so this one is simply just, pixelated effect. And then this one, so after we, and again, this also works on all cameras, by the way, as you can see. Then we have night vision, so you can have a nice binary look. And then you can have blur, so if you want to have like a blur redeem. And then, of course, you can have screenshot as well, so if you do a lot of pictures of your avatar, simply there is just this node here, and then there's camera shake, So if you want to shake the camera as a hotkey, you can have that. And pretty much in a nutshell, that is how you can set up or at least a tour of the beginner scene file. I do apologize that this video is very long, but I did try my best to explain as much as I can without making this video way too long. But of course, I will say there are still more to Warudo than what I've explained in this video. I did try my best to explain as fast as possible so you can get to VTubing as soon as possible. But of course though, the scene file may not be perfect. There may be some custom redeems you may want, or custom props, or maybe even more extreme stuff that you may want with your tracking. But of course, just keep in mind though that as you, the scene file should hopefully help you get that boost, but you're gonna have to do a lot of self-experimenting. Of course, if by any chance you don't want to mess with coding or nodes or any advanced stuff, you may want to consider commissioning someone else to help you out regarding all this if you so prefer. But otherwise, if you don't want to commission or don't have the money for it, then I do recommend checking out the Warudo documentation. But hopefully this beginner scene file helps you out on at least getting started, or at least having some scene files. So even if you don't want to have custom stuff, you just want something to exist because you just want to use Warudo, then hopefully the scene file does help you out achieve that. And if you need any further help, let's say your webcam tracking doesn't work or anything like that, because I have tested all of the tracking that was provided in the scene file. It should work. So if it doesn't work, there may be a fault in your hardware or maybe a setting or something like that. Feel free to join the Warudo Discord server if you need further assistance. And I also recommend adjusting your general settings. And if you're wondering how you can set up your, how to get your VTuber avatar to OBS, you're going to download the OBS plugin and the OBS spout plugin, my bad, will be in the description below. You just download that, and then all you have to do is just load that to your OBS, and then you can simply just make sure spout is enabled, and you should have your transparent capture so you have the best quality. You can even have virtual camera NDI and all that, and all these other settings if you want to adjust for performance or anything like that. Otherwise, if you really don't want to deal with spout or anything like that, I will say in advance, you can use, if you really want to, there is chroma key. You could just game capture Warudo if you really want, but I don't recommend that. But, you know, up to you. Whatever works, it works. So, yeah. But I hope that this helps you out. Again, if you need more hands-on help with Warudo, please join the Warudo Discord server. There are people there who are able to help you out, because you can send videos, pictures, and even contact the dev there if you want to report issues or anything like that. But that's mainly why I recommend. You can comment down if there's issue with the beginner scene file, like if things are broken, or if anything happened with the beginner scene file. But of course, like I said, if you are going to be requesting a redeem for the beginner scene file, that will be preserved for a separate tutorial on how to do it. But note that if the redeem is too personal to what you want, you'll have to figure that one yourself, or again, join the Warudo Discord server. We'd be happy to help you out on any specific request you may have. But otherwise though, hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye! Thank you to all my Snowflake members. In case you don't know, I have YouTube membership, so if you want to further support this channel and what I do, then feel free to join the Snowflake members. Otherwise though, just your support means so much to me, and I appreciate every ounce of it. Either way though, with that being said though, hey, goodbye everyone! I hope to see you guys next time, okay? Bye bye!